My girlfriend looked me in the eyes and said, "I've never met someone I loved as much as my ex. I wish we never broke up." I didn't get upset. I didn't argue. I just said, "Then call him." That night, I packed my things and left her key on the counter. 3 days later, she was sobbing outside my new apartment. "He rejected me. I realize now that you're the one I want." So here's the deal. I'm a 28-year-old software developer, nothing fancy. I debug other people's code for a living and somehow afford a decent apartment in Portland. Not exactly the stuff romance novels are made of, but hey, I thought I had my life figured out. Margot and I had been together for 2.5 years. We met at a coffee shop. I know, super original, and she seemed perfect. Smart, funny, had this laugh that made me forget I was socially awkward. We moved in together after about 8 months, split a nice 2-bedroom place downtown. Everything was good. Or at least, I thought it was good. We had our routines, our inside jokes, our plans for the future. I'd been casually looking at rings since August, trying to figure out her style without being obvious about it. Had a whole proposal plan for her birthday in December. Looking back, maybe I should have paid more attention to the warning signs. See, Margot had this ex. Robbie. They dated for like 4 years in college and a bit after. She'd mention him sometimes, usually when she was telling stories about her past or when something reminded her of their time together. I didn't think much of it. We all have exes, right? I figured it was normal to reference someone who was a big part of your life for that long. But then the mentions started getting more frequent. And more detailed. Robbie used to take me to this little Italian place that was way better than that chain restaurant we went to last night. Oh, Robbie loved this song. We used to sing it together on road trips. Robbie was really good at fixing things around the house. Maybe we should call someone about that leaky faucet instead. I started keeping track. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but hear me out. In 1 week in September, she brought up Robbie 17 times. 17. I counted because I was starting to feel like I was dating both of them. The real kicker came on a Tuesday evening in early October. We were having dinner, nothing special, just leftover pizza and watching Netflix, when she got this faraway look in her eyes. You know the one. Like she was somewhere else entirely. "Margot?" I said. "You okay?" She turned to me, and I swear there was this sadness in her expression that I'd never seen before. Not directed at me, anyway. "Can I tell you something?" she asked. Of course. I paused the show, gave her my full attention. She took a deep breath. "I've been thinking about Robbie a lot lately." My stomach dropped, but I tried to stay calm. "Okay. What about him?" She looked right at me, which somehow made it worse. "I've never met someone I loved as much as my ex. I wish we never broke up." The room went dead silent except for the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest, but weirdly, I wasn't angry. I was just tired. Tired of competing with a ghost. Tired of feeling like I was always coming in second place in my own relationship. I looked at her for a long moment. She was waiting for me to react, maybe expecting me to get upset, to argue, to fight for her. Instead, I said the only thing that made sense to me in that moment. "Then call him." Her eyes went wide. "What?" "Call him. If that's how you feel, call him." I stood up, surprisingly calm. "I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you to want me, Margot. You either do or you don't." "Antonio, I didn't mean." "Yes, you did." I was already walking toward our bedroom. "And that's okay. But I'm not sticking around to be your consolation prize." That night, while she was in the living room presumably processing what had just happened, I packed my essentials. 2 suitcases, my laptop, my coffee maker, priorities, right? And the few things that were definitely mine. I left her key on the kitchen counter next to a note that just said good luck with Robbie. I crashed at my buddy Tyler's place for 3 days while I found a new apartment. Turns out, there's something liberating about starting over. I found a decent 1-bedroom about 20 minutes away, nothing fancy but it was mine. No shared spaces, no reminders of what used to be. Tyler, bless him, didn't ask too many questions. He just handed me a sleeping bag and pointed to his couch. "Stay as long as you need, man. But you're buying groceries if you're here more than a week." During those 3 days, my phone was blowing up. Margot called 47 times. I know because I counted those too. She left voicemails that started angry, "You can't just leave like this," moved to sad, "Please call me back, we need to talk," and ended up desperate, "Antonio, I made a huge mistake." I didn't answer any of them. I also didn't block her number, which Tyler thought was stupid. "Dude, just cut her off completely." "I want to see how this plays out," I told him. Call it morbid curiosity. On the 3rd day, I was moving my stuff into the new place when Tyler texted me, "Margot's here. At my apartment. She looks rough." I texted back, "Don't tell her where I am." Already didn't. But she keeps asking. "What do you want me to do?" "Nothing. She'll figure it out." Except she did figure it out. Turns out, when you're desperate enough, you get creative. She remembered I'd mentioned my new gym was near my apartment, so she just drove around the area until she spotted my car in a parking lot. Margot always was persistent when she wanted something. I was unpacking boxes in my new living room, finally starting to feel like maybe this whole thing was going to be okay, when I heard sobbing outside my door. Not crying. Sobbing. The kind of ugly, desperate crying that makes your neighbors uncomfortable. I looked through the peephole. There she was, sitting on the floor outside my apartment, mascara running down her face, hair a mess. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Against my better judgment, I opened the door. Antonio. She scrambled to her feet. Oh, thank God, I've been trying to find you for. What do you want, Margot? She looked awful. Really awful. The Margot I knew was always put together, always had her makeup perfect and her hair styled just right. This Margot looked broken. He rejected me, she said, and started crying harder. Robbie. I called him like you said, and he said he was happy with his new girlfriend and that calling him was inappropriate and. She couldn't finish the sentence. I leaned against my doorframe. Okay. And I realize now that you're the one I want. The words came out in a rush. I was being stupid and nostalgic and I didn't appreciate what I had in Antonio. Please, can we just talk about this? We are talking about it. I mean really talk. Inside. Please. I've been sitting out here for 2 hours. I looked at her for a long moment. 2 months ago, seeing Margot cry would have destroyed me. I would have done anything to make it stop. Now? I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not sadness, not anger. Just nothing. Margot, what exactly do you think is going to happen here? I think we can work this out. I think we can get past this. I love you, Antonio. I really do. No, you don't. She blinked at me. What? You don't love me. You love the idea of not being alone. You love having someone who puts up with your crap and pays half the rent and makes you feel better about yourself. I was surprised by how calm I sounded. But you don't love me. That's not true. Margot, 3 days ago you looked me in the eyes and told me you'd never loved anyone as much as your ex. You think I just forgot that? I was confused. I was being nostalgic. People say things they don't mean when they're what? Being honest? I shook my head. The thing is, I actually believe you meant it. I think that was the most honest you'd been with me in months. She started crying again, but I could see the anger creeping in around the edges. Margot never liked being called out on her bullshit. So that's it? You're just going to throw away 2.5 years because I had a moment of weakness? I'm not throwing anything away. You already did that. You know what? Fine. The tears stopped, and there was the Margot I'd been seeing more and more of lately. You want to be petty and dramatic, go ahead. But don't pretend this is about me being honest. This is about your ego being hurt. And there it was. The real Margot, underneath all the apologies and tears. You're probably right, I said. My ego is hurt. You know what else is hurt? My trust. My respect for you. My ability to look at you and see the person I thought I was in love with. I started to close the door, but she put her hand out to stop it. Antonio, wait. Please. I'll do anything. We can go to counseling. I'll block Robbie on everything. Margot, stop. I moved her hand away from the door. This isn't about Robbie. This is about the fact that when you were being completely honest with me, you told me I wasn't enough. That you wished you were with someone else. That's not something counseling fixes. But I was wrong. I see that now. No, you weren't wrong. You were honest. And now I'm being honest too. I looked at her one more time. I don't want to be with someone who settles for me. I don't want to spend the rest of my life wondering if you're thinking about him, or the next him, or whoever else comes along that seems better than what you've got. You're making a mistake, she said, but the fight was going out of her voice. Maybe. But it's my mistake to make. I closed the door and listened to her cry for another 20 minutes before she finally left. That was 8 months ago. I haven't heard from Margot since, though Tyler mentioned he saw her at a Starbucks downtown with some new guy a few weeks back. She looked happy, he said. Good for her, I guess. As for me? I'm doing great. Better than great, actually. I got a promotion at work back in March. Turns out I'm more focused when I'm not constantly worried about whether my girlfriend wishes she was with someone else. I started rock climbing, picked up photography, learned how to make really good tacos. Turns out, I'm pretty good company for myself. I'm seeing someone new now, Selena. We met at a photography workshop, and she laughs at my terrible jokes and doesn't spend our conversations talking about her ex. She's got her own life and interests and doesn't seem to need me to complete her or whatever. It's refreshing. The weird thing is, I'm grateful to Margot now. Not for hurting me, but for being honest about it. She could have strung me along for years, could have married me while secretly wishing I was someone else. Instead, she showed me exactly who she was and how she felt. Yeah, it sucked at the time, but it saved us both a lot of wasted years. Tyler thinks I should write Margot a thank you note. I told him that's probably taking it a bit too far, but I get what he means. Sometimes the worst thing someone can do to you ends up being the best thing that could have happened. I keep that engagement ring in my sock drawer, by the way. Not because I'm holding on to hope or anything, I just haven't gotten around to returning it yet. Every time I see it, I remember how close I came to proposing to someone who would have said yes for all the wrong reasons. Talk about dodging a bullet. But here's where the story gets interesting. About 3 weeks after the whole doorstep crying incident, I'm at the grocery store, living my best single life, buying exactly the cereal I want without having to compromise, when I run into Robbie. Yeah, that Robbie. I'd seen him once before, briefly, at a coffee shop downtown about a year ago when Margot pointed him out. Normal guy, honestly. Nothing special. Certainly not the Greek god Margot had made him out to be in my head. He was in the frozen food section, staring at pizza options like it was the most important decision of his life. I almost walked past him, but something made me stop. "Excuse me," I said. "Are you Robbie?" He turned around, looking confused. "Yeah. Do I know you?" "I'm Antonio. Margot's, ex-boyfriend now." His face went through about 5 different expressions in 2 seconds. Confusion, recognition, embarrassment, and then something that looked like genuine sympathy. Oh man. He ran his hand through his hair. "Dude, I am so sorry about that phone call. That was really awkward for everyone involved." "Yeah, I bet." I grabbed a frozen burrito from the freezer, trying to act casual. "She mentioned you rejected her pretty hard." "I mean, I wouldn't put it like that, but," he sighed. "Look, can I buy you a coffee or something? This feels like a conversation we should have properly." 20 minutes later, we're sitting in a Starbucks, and Robbie is telling me the whole story. Turns out, Margot had been texting him for months before that phone call. Not constantly, but enough that his girlfriend, he's been with someone for over a year, was starting to get annoyed. She'd send these random messages, Robbie explained, stirring his latte. Like, "Remember when we went to that concert?" Or, "I was thinking about our trip to Seattle." At first I thought she was just being friendly, But then they got more intense. Intense how? Like, "I miss what we had and I wonder what would have happened if we'd tried harder." I told my girlfriend about it, and she said I should probably stop responding. So I did. I felt this weird mix of vindication and nausea. "So when she called you?" She was crying before I even said hello. Started talking about how she'd made a mistake leaving me, how she'd never gotten over me, how she wanted to try again. Robbie looked genuinely uncomfortable. I had to tell her 3 times that I was happy with Sydney before she seemed to understand that I wasn't interested. Yikes. Yeah. But here's the thing, Antonio. He leaned forward. "She was doing the same thing to you that she did to me." I frowned. "What do you mean?" "When we were together, especially toward the end, she was always comparing me to other guys. Her high school boyfriend was so much more romantic. This guy from her college photography class really understood her artistic side. I never felt like I was enough for her, My stomach dropped. Seriously? Dead serious. She's got this thing where the grass is always greener somewhere else. You were probably the best relationship she ever had, but she couldn't see it because she was too busy looking backward." Robbie shook his head. "I feel bad for whatever poor guy comes after you, honestly." We talked for another hour. Turns out, Robbie was a pretty decent guy who'd spent 2 years in therapy getting over the emotional damage Margot had caused. He'd met Sydney at a book club, they'd taken things slow, built something real together. "The difference," he said as we were getting ready to leave, "is that Sydney chose me every day. Not because I was better than her ex, or because she was settling, but because she genuinely wanted to be with me. That's what you deserve too, man." Walking back to my car, I felt this weird sense of closure. Not just about Margot, but about that whole chapter of my life. Robbie wasn't my enemy, he was just another guy who'd gotten caught up in Margot's inability to be happy with what she had. But the universe wasn't done with me yet. About 2 months later, I'm at a networking event downtown, one of those mixer things where local businesses get together and pretend to care about each other's elevator pitches. I was there representing my company, trying to drum up some new clients, when who walks in but Margot. Turns out, her new marketing job was with a company that does a lot of work in the tech sector. Portland's not that big, so I guess it was inevitable we'd cross paths eventually. She looked good. Really good, actually. Hair done, nice dress, confident smile. For about 30 seconds, I felt that old familiar flutter in my chest. Then I remembered everything, and it died pretty quickly. I was grabbing a drink from the bar when Margot spotted me. I watched her face go through that same series of expressions I'd seen on Robbie. She hesitated for a moment, then walked over. "Antonio." "Hi." She seemed nervous, which was unusual for Margot. She was usually the most confident person in any room. "Hey, Margot. How've you been?" "Good. Really good, actually." She glanced around the room. "I heard through the grapevine that you were seeing someone new." "I am. Selena." I took a sip of my drink. "She's great." That's good. I'm happy for you." Margot fidgeted with her bracelet. "She's pretty, I'm sure." "She is. But more importantly, she's kind. And funny. And she doesn't make me feel like I'm competing with ghosts." Margot winced. "Antonio, Margot, it's okay. Really. And I meant it." Standing there, looking at her, I felt nothing but mild fondness for someone who used to be important to me. "I hope you're happy." "I am," she said quickly. "I'm seeing someone too. Fernando. He's wonderful." "Good. I'm glad." We stood there in awkward silence for a moment. The conversation felt forced, like we were both just going through the motions of being polite. Well, Margot said finally, I should probably get back to my colleagues. It was good seeing you. You too. Take care of yourself. I watched her walk away and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no regret. Just a weird sense of closure. Later that night, I called Selena and told her about the encounter. How do you feel about seeing her? Selena asked. Honestly? Fine. Like, genuinely fine. I sat down on my couch. It was weird how normal it felt. Like running into an old coworker or something. That's probably healthy, Selena said. You've moved on. Yeah, I think I have. And I really had. A few weeks after that, Selena and I had a conversation that changed everything. We were making dinner together, she was attempting to teach me how to make decent pasta sauce, when she brought up moving in together. Can I ask you something about Margot? She said, stirring the sauce. Sure. When you guys broke up, were you heartbroken? I thought about it. Really thought about it. You know what? I thought I was. But looking back, I think I was more relieved than heartbroken. Like, finally someone had said out loud what I'd been feeling for months. What do you mean? That we weren't right for each other. That we were both settling. I leaned against the counter. With Margot, I always felt like I was auditioning for the role of boyfriend. Like I had to prove I was worth her time every day. Selena turned to face me. That sounds exhausting. It was. I didn't realize how exhausting until it stopped. I looked at her. With you, I just get to be myself. Good, she said, reaching over to kiss me. Because myself is who I fell for. 3 months later, Selena and I moved in together. Not because it made financial sense or because it was the next logical step, but because we wanted to. Because coming home to her made everything better, and because she said the same thing about coming home to me. I finally returned that engagement ring, by the way. Got about 60% of what I paid for it, which seemed fair. Used the money to buy Selena and me a weekend trip to the coast for our 6-month anniversary. And you know what? I'm glad Margot said what she said that night over leftover pizza. I'm glad she was honest about loving Robbie more than me. Because if she hadn't been, I might have spent years trying to be enough for someone who would never think I was. I might have missed out on finding someone who thinks I'm more than enough exactly as I am. Sometimes I wonder if Margot ever figured out that her problem wasn't the guys she was dating. That her problem was thinking love was about finding someone better instead of choosing to appreciate what you have. But honestly, that's not my problem anymore. I mean, I could have been petty about it. Could have aired all her business on social media or tried to turn our mutual friends against her. But honestly, the most satisfying thing was just not caring anymore. Turns out, indifference is way more powerful than anger. And if Margot's reading this somehow, hi. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for the life lesson. No hard feelings. Well, maybe a few hard feelings. I'm not a saint. But I'm working on it.